Penn State story continues. Kim Jones, the one who broke the story today about the statue, which has gotten so much attention and has become like this symbol. It really has become the symbol on the campus of Penn State moving forward, or Penn State, being reluctant to move forward. And Kim joins us now. Kim, what are you hearing today?
Hello, Mike. Well, first of all, I guess I did break the story. I didn't tweet it in terms of breaking news. Honestly, I figured someone else has had this out there because with this story, a lot of things.
I don't think anybody did, though.
Yeah, that surprises me. And then I went to an appointment, so I've kind of been out of the loop a little bit. I was told this morning that Penn State has decided and has plans to take the statue down this weekend. And that's what I tweeted. That was the whole of my tweet. It was a one-sentence tweet. And I completely stand by it. The people on Twitter who are either calling me a liar or saying I'm wrong, I'm certainly not lying. If I'm wrong, because that statue is still standing after the weekend, then the time period might be wrong. If I'm wrong that it's standing for that season opener in September, I'll be shocked, but I'll also be dead wrong. But I did hear from absolutely credible people, Mike, who have been helpful in this since November, that those were the university's plans, and I believe still are, although you and I both know, with public outcry and with public reaction, it is hard to predict how Penn State will react.
Well, it's interesting. Clearly, Kim, this week, Penn State, with the very prominent and controversial trustee resigning, clearly now Penn State has tried to, from within, and probably very fearful of what the NCAA is going to do, clearly has tried to move, to take steps to show we are trying to move past this and kind of cleanse the university. And there's been a lot of movement from Penn State in this week. That resignation was big, and now, and I'm sure listen, your sources have been impeccable on this. I'm sure now, as you say, they're going to take that statue down, which will be a very big move to the nation, because that has become the bone of contention in a lot of places, that the fact that statue is still standing and that people go there to honor it every day.
And if it stands during football season, Mike, and as you know, 100,000 people or more congregate at State College and at Penn State for those home football games, you've got to think that statue will become even more, because it will become, I wonder if it would become almost a martyr situation in some cases in terms of how people would treat that remembrance of Joe Paterno. So I do think this is fluid in some senses. Again, I stand by my reporting. I'm not running away from it whatsoever. But I do think this is a university that can be very reactionary. I have been told by someone else, a different person involved in this, that the president's office has gotten many calls about this and is telling donors there is no final decision on the statue. Now, that doesn't, my report and that information is not necessarily mutually exclusive, because there would be a reason that you would tell Penn State donors, who are incredibly generous and have remained incredibly generous throughout this, that there's not a final decision. But, it's one of those where, to an extent, we're going to wait and see. But I have no doubt this morning the plans were to take that statue down at some point this weekend.
What do you, and we're talking with Kim Jones, whose information is that the statue will come down at Penn State this weekend. There is a lot of stuff still going on here. What do you think, let me put it this way, what does that statue mean to most Penn State alums, right? I mean, what does that statue mean? Let me just ask you personally right now, what does that statue mean, if anything, to you right now?
Right now, not much, and I'm not sure it ever did. I will tell you that several years ago, with my sister and then her two little, very, very young children at that point, we took a picture in front of it, Mike. I mean, it was just a fun thing to do. We were walking around campus with the kids, and we took a picture in front of that statue. So, I mean, it was certainly something that you paid attention to. It was something that if you hadn't seen it, you'd come to town and say, well, I need to see the statue. It was important in that way, and I think, under usual circumstances, which these are not, it would have been one way to still reach out and touch Joe Paterno, in perpetuity. That all changed, of course, with the revelations in November and the Sandusky situation and the scandal and the Free Report. But it was going to be something, really important on that campus. Now I'm just not even sure what it means.
Tim, there were two things that happened, and we're talking with Kim Jones, who has been a part of the Penn State from the beginning. It's done great reporting on it. There were two things that came out that week with the free report. The free report, which was incredibly damning to Paterno's legacy, and then the Times piece on Saturday. And I believe I was on vacation, but I'm pretty sure the first day they wrote the front page story was Saturday, that really basically stated that while we saw Joe on the lawn looking a little lost, he was basically on the phone cutting deals with the trustees for jets and for, future money and for, what the family was going to have. And basically, while he looked like this, this old coach who was lost and he's out on the lawn, he was inside making deals, according to the Times.
Yeah, and I'm not as sure of that timing, Mike. I was under the impression that was earlier in the year when. But I mean,
it wasn't that week. But my point was, it was like 2 weeks before, and the point was he knew a lot more than he let on. Where he seemed like a victim on the lawn, he had been cutting these deals in recent weeks.
Well, there's no doubt that he knew more and that all of them knew more. And I thought the most damning part of the free report was the fact that you had emails stating that the powers that be all knew about 98. And then when you get the report in, see, to me, that changes completely how you then look at 2001. Because even though 2001 was obviously criminal and was repulsive and was disgusting and needed to be dealt with, if you also at that point know about 98, that's compounded.